Let's get started. Number 6. Controlling yourself. Your alarm goes off at 6 a.m. You promised yourself you'd get up immediately. At 6:03, you're negotiating with the universe from underneath a blanket. I deserve 5 more minutes. 3 hours later, somehow, you're watching a man restore a 1947 toaster. This is where self-control becomes one of the most valuable skills nobody properly teaches you. School teaches equations, grammar, historical dates, and approximately 17 different ways to calculate something you'll never calculate again. But nobody sits you down and explains how to manage your impulses when your brain desperately wants the easiest possible reward. Your brain is constantly comparing immediate pleasure with future benefits. The problem is that immediate pleasure is sitting right there, wearing sunglasses, offering snacks. The future version of you, meanwhile, is invisible and apparently has terrible customer service. Self-control isn't about becoming some emotionless robot who never procrastinates. It's about creating enough distance between an impulse and an action that you actually get to choose. You don't have to feel motivated to exercise. You don't have to feel inspired to study. You don't have to magically want to finish the boring thing. Sometimes you just have to make the decision before your brain starts negotiating. Because your brain is remarkably persuasive when it wants to avoid doing something difficult. Basically, self-control is learning that every thought in your head does not automatically deserve executive authority. Number 5. Saying no without dying. You were never handed a manual on how to say the word no without your whole body short-circuiting into apology mode. Somehow you learned to conjugate French verbs, but not how to decline a favor without writing a 3-paragraph essay justifying your existence. This is a boundaries problem, and boundaries are basically the emotional fences that keep you from turning into a doormat with a heartbeat. Psychologically, people who struggle here usually grew up associating their worth with being useful, so saying no feels like committing a small social crime. Your brain treats disapproval like a physical threat, lighting up the same regions involved in actual pain, which is why rejection, or letting someone down, feels less like an inconvenience and more like a mugging. So you say yes to the extra shift, the favor, the group project nobody else wants, and quietly resent everyone while smiling like a hostage in a family photo. Nobody taught you that a boundary isn't cruelty, it's just information, a polite little sign that says this far, no further. Without that skill, you become the human equivalent of an all-you-can-eat buffet, endlessly available, slowly emptied out. The people who seem annoyingly calm and unbothered usually aren't smarter than you, they just practice the deeply uncomfortable art of disappointing people on purpose. Basically, your inability to say no isn't kindness, it's an anxiety response wearing kindness as a costume. Number 4. Feeling your feelings. You were taught to read, write, and calculate the area of a trapezoid, but nobody sat you down and said, hey, here's what to do when sadness shows up uninvited. Emotional regulation, the actual skill of noticing a feeling, naming it, and writing it out without setting your life on fire, is basically never taught in school. Instead, you get a vague vibe that emotions are inconvenient, like a phone notification you're supposed to swipe away. So what happens? You grow into an adult who either explodes like a shaken soda can, or bottles everything so hard, you start getting mysterious stomach aches. Psychologists call this affect labeling, and studies show something wild. Simply naming an emotion out loud, saying, I feel anxious, instead of just marinating in anxious static, actually calms down your amygdala, the brain's built-in smoke alarm. It's like your nervous system needs a caption to stop panicking. Most people never learn this, so they either suppress feelings until they leak out sideways, usually at their partner, over something dumb like dishes, or they get so overwhelmed they forget feelings are temporary weather, not permanent climate. Your 5th grade self memorized state capitals, but never learned that sadness has an expiration date if you just let it move through you. Basically, your brain built you an emotional early warning system, and society handed you the manual for a toaster instead. Number 3. The skill of doing nothing. Somewhere in your upbringing, productivity got treated like a personality trait, and rest got treated like a moral failing. Nobody taught you that doing absolutely nothing, no phone, no podcast, no self-improvement book playing in the background, is an actual skill your nervous system needs to function. Your body has 2 main modes, the sympathetic go-go-go mode and the parasympathetic chill out and digest mode, and modern life keeps you stuck in the first one like a car permanently redlining in traffic. Real rest, the kind that lowers cortisol and lets your body actually recover, requires stillness without a task attached, which sounds simple until you try it and your brain starts screaming that you're being lazy. You were praised for hustle, for busyness, for answering emails at 11 p.m., like it's a badge of honor, but nobody explained that chronic activation, without recovery, is basically how you fast-track burnout, anxiety, and a body that forgets how to relax even when you finally get the chance. It's like revving an engine non-stop and being baffled when it overheats. The people who seem effortlessly calm usually aren't doing more, they're doing less, on purpose, guilt-free. Rest isn't a reward you earn after suffering enough, it's maintenance, the same way you'd never expect a phone to work forever without ever plugging it in. Number 2. Reading your own mind. Here's a fun party trick nobody taught you, noticing when your own thoughts are lying to you. This is called metacognition, thinking about your thinking, and it is criminally underrated. Your brain generates thousands of thoughts a day, and a shocking number of them are dramatic, biased little liars, yet you were never trained to fact-check them. Instead, you absorb every intrusive thought like it's a breaking news alert straight from headquarters. "I'm going to fail," this pops up, and instead of going, "Huh, interesting, brain's catastrophizing again," you just believe it wholesale, like your mind is a tabloid, and you're the only subscriber. Cognitive behavioral therapy is basically built entirely around this one skill, catching distorted thoughts, like mind reading, fortune-telling, or all-or-nothing thinking, and questioning them instead of obeying them. Without this, you're a passenger in your own head, letting whichever thought yells loudest drive the car, usually straight into a ditch of anxiety. The wild part is this skill isn't complicated. It just requires pausing for 2 seconds and asking, "Wait, is this true? Or is this just my brain being dramatic again?" Most people never get taught that distinction, so they treat every anxious thought like a prophecy instead of what it actually is: mental weather, loud, occasionally dramatic, and gone by tomorrow if you just stop taking its word for it. Number 1. Listening to your body. You were taught anatomy diagrams with little arrows pointing at organs, but nobody explained that your body is constantly texting you, and you've had it on silent for years. This is called interoception, your internal sense of what's happening inside you: hunger, tension, a racing heart, and it's shockingly underdeveloped in most people. You'll push through exhaustion like it's optional, ignore stomach tightness until it becomes a full ulcer of a problem, and mistake dehydration for a personality flaw. Scientists have linked low interoceptive awareness to higher anxiety, because when you can't accurately read your body's signals, your brain fills in the blanks with worst-case scenarios. A racing heart becomes, "I'm dying," instead of, "I had too much coffee." Athletes and meditators train this skill deliberately, learning to notice subtle physical cues before they snowball. But the average person treats their body like background noise until it screams loud enough to be an emergency room visit. It's like ignoring a check engine light for 8 years and being shocked when the car explodes on the highway. Nobody sat you down and said, "Hey, that tight jaw, that clenched stomach, that's data, not decoration." Your body has been quietly narrating your emotional state this whole time, and you've basically been watching a movie with the subtitles turned off. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe.